Good morning, students. How are you? Hope all are fine. So today, from today onwards, I am going to take class for you. So social science. So till now, it was handled by our CS Miss, CS Nandini Miss. But today onwards, I am going to handle the class for you. So say your prayer. Thank you. நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். Okay, students. Good morning. Take your social science book and take page number 35. Unit 4. People's Revolt. So in history already you have learned how the Europeans came as traders to our country and slowly occupied our country. So British, they came to India as the traders. English East India Company. Then they occupied our whole country. So to their occupation, to their aggressment, the first opposition came from the people of Tamil Nadu. So how they opposed? So how the Tamil people revolted against the British rule. So you will learn in this lesson. So who were the important persons? So important people who rose against the British domination. So that is the English East India Company domination in India, in South India. You will learn in this lesson. So in today's class, you will learn about early revolts of South India. So first about the Palayakkarar, PULI, THEVAR, then VIRAPANDYA, KATTABOMMAN. Okay, va? So learning objectives. So what are you going to learn from this lesson? First, to know the Palayakkarar system in Tamil Nadu. So in British, it was called as polygar system. Yes, in Tamil Nadu, we call it as Palayakkarar system. In British, in English, they referred it as polygar system. Okay, then to understand the role of PULI, THEVAR and KATTABOMMAN in the anti-British uprising. So to understand the role of PULI, THEVAR. So you have heard about PULI, THEVAR and VIRAPANDYA, KATTABOMMAN. So their role, you understand about their role in anti-British uprising. Then to know about the South Indian rebellion. So to know about the South Indian rebellion. So rebellion means to fight against or refuse to obey the authority. So rebellion means to fight against the government. Then to know the causes and effects of the Vellore mutiny. So Vellore, it was a place in north of Tamil Nadu. So to know the causes and effect of Vellore mutiny. So mutiny means to refuse to obey the orders of somebody in authority. So mutiny means refuse to obey the order. So to know the causes and effects of Vellore mutiny, then to understand the causes and impact of revolt of 1857. So to understand the causes and impact of revolt of 1857. So 1857 revolt, mostly took place in North India. So in this lesson, you will learn about the rebellion in South India and also the revolt in North India. So the learning objectives, first to know the Palayakkarar, the polygar system in Tamil Nadu, then to understand the role of PULI, THEVAR and KATTABOMMAN in the anti-British uprising, then to know about the South Indian rebellion, then to know the causes and effects of Vellore mutiny, then to understand the causes of and impact means effect of revolt of 1857. Introduction. So the British began to establish their control in India. Began to establish their political and economic control in India after the Battle of Plassey. So in which year the Battle of Plassey took place? 1757. So from that year onwards, the British began to establish their political and economic control over many parts of India. It disturbed the existing political, socio-economic condition of India. So the British began to establish their political and economic dominance over many parts of India in our country after the Battle of Plassey in the year 1757. So after that, they began to attack many parts of our country and began to take control of it. So then after that, they introduced a new system. So already you have learned in your previous classes, about that land revenue settlement. And also they changed the political system. It disturbed the existing condition of India. So many local rulers, so local land chieftains, so many small rulers so began to oppose the British rule. So the establishment of political and economic dominance by the British over many parts of India after the Battle of Plassey, so which took place in the year 1757, disrupted the political, social and economic order of the country. So because they introduced a new system, so new economic system, so new political system, so it disrupted the existing condition. So this led to the divesting many landlords and chieftains of their power and estate. So this led to problem with the landlords and the local rulers. So naturally many of them revolted against the British. So naturally, so the local rulers, so the local Indian rulers rose against the British. So they opposed, so they revolted against the British rule. So the English, that is the British, assumed the right of collecting the annual tribute. So tribute, tax. So tribute means an tax or some or money. So money, so given by one country to another country. So the money, so collected. So the English assumed the right of collecting the annual tribute from the Palayakkarar. So the first resistance to the British was offered by the PULI THEVAR. So the first opposition to the British so came from PULI THEVAR. So since then there had been rebellions by Palayakkarars such as VIRAPANDYA, KATTABOMMAN, Oomathurai, Marudhu brothers and Dhiran Chinnamalai. So the English assumed the right of collecting the tax, collecting the annual tribute from the Palayakkarar. So the first opposition to the British so came from Tamil Nadu, that is from PULI THEVAR. So PULI THEVAR was the first ruler to revolt against the British occupation, so the British company. Okay, so since then there had been rebellions by the Palayakkarar. So who were the Palayakkarars revolted against the British? Veerapandya Kattabomman, Oomathurai, Marudhu brothers and Dhiran Chinnamalai. So Dhiran Chinnamalai, so he is from our region. Okay, then origin of Palayam. So who introduced the concept of Palayam, Palayakkarar? So the Vijayanagar rulers. So already you have learned in your lower classes. So Vijayanagar Empire. So the Vijayanagar rulers appointed Nayaks in their provinces. So the Vijayanagar Empire. So it was divided into many provinces. To each provinces a ruler was appointed who was called as Nayak. So the Vijayanagar Empire, so the Vijayanagar rulers appointed the Nayaks in their provinces. So the Nayak of Madurai in turn appointed the Palayakkarar. So the whole Vijayanagar Empire was divided into many provinces. So to each provinces a ruler was appointed and he was called as Nayak. So the whole country was under the ruler, Vijayanagar ruler. So they divided their country into many provinces and to each provinces a Nayak was appointed. So the Nayak of Madurai in turn appointed the Palayakkarar. So the Nayak of Madurai in turn appointed the Palayakkarar. So the Nayaks, so they divided their provinces into many Palayam. So the provinces, the rulers of provinces, the Nayaks. So what they did means they divide their territory into many regions and each region was called as Palayam. So they appointed a Palayakkarar to control over that region. So Viswanatha Nayak, so he became the Nayak of Madurai in the year 1529. So Viswanatha Nayak became the Nayak of Madurai in the year 1529. He noticed that he could not control the chieftain who wanted more powers in their provinces. So Viswanatha Nayak, so he became the Nayak of Madurai in the year 1529. He noticed that he could not control the chieftains, the local rulers, because they wanted more powerful. So because they wanted more power in their provinces. So the Palayam, so the local rulers, so they wanted more powers in their region. So with the consultation, so with the consultation of his minister Aryanatha Mudaliyar, Viswanatha instituted the Palayakkara system in 1529. So with the consultation of his minister Aryanatha Mudaliyar, Viswanatha instituted the Palayakkara system in 1529. So the Vijayanagar rulers appointed Nayaks in their provinces. The Nayak of Madurai in turn appointed the Palayakkarar. So who was the first Nayakar of Madurai means it was Viswanatha Nayakar in the year 1529. In the year he noticed that he could not control the local chieftains because the local chieftains wanted more power. Yeah. So with the consultation of his minister Aryanada Mudaliyar, Viswanathan instituted the Palayakkar system in the year 1529. Yeah. So the whole country was divided into 72 palayams. Yeah. So the whole Madurai kingdom, so the whole Madurai Nayak kingdom was divided into 72 palayams, and each one was put under a Palayakkarar. Yeah. So Palayakkarar means the holder of a territory or a palayam. So Palayakkarar means he was the controller of that palayam. Yeah. So these palayams were held in military tenure. So tenure means the legal right, the right to stay permanently. So the palayams were held in military tenure and extend their full cooperation to be need of the Nayaks. Yeah, so the Vijayanagar, so they divided their kingdom into many provinces, and to each provinces they appointed the Nayak. Yeah, so the first Nayak of Madurai was Viswanathan. Yeah, so he was appointed in the year 1529. Yeah, so he understood, he noticed that he could not control the local rulers. Yeah, so because the local rulers wanted more power. Yeah, so for that, so Viswanathan, with the consultation of his minister Aryanada Mudaliyar, he divided his Nayak kingdom into 72 palayams. So he divided his Nayak Madurai kingdom into 72 palayams, and to each palayam he appointed the Nayakkars. So he appointed the Palayakkarar. Okay, so the Palayakkarars' duty was to collect taxes, of which one third was given to the Nayak of Madurai, one third for the expenditure of the army, and the rest first kept themselves. Yeah, so the Palayakkarar collected taxes. Yeah. So among the taxes, one third should be given to the Madurai Nayak. Yeah. The remaining one third should be spent for their military. So the Palayakkarar military. The remaining one was kept with the Palayakkarar itself. Yeah. So this was supported by many Palayakkarar. Yeah. So this Palayakkar system was introduced by Viswanathan Nayak in his Madurai kingdom. Okay, early revolt of South India. First, the revolt of Palayakkarars. So during 17th and 18th century, the Palayakkarar played an important role in politics of Tamil Nadu. So during 18th century and 17th century, the Palayakkarar played an important role in the politics of Tamil Nadu. They regarded themselves as independent. Yeah, so the Palayakkarars regarded themselves as independent because the Vijayanagara Empire was defeated in the Battle of Talikota. So after that, so the Palayakkarars declared their independence. Yeah. Among the Palayakkarars, there were two blocks. So the Palayakkarar were divided as two blocks, namely Eastern Bloc and Western Bloc. Yeah, so namely Eastern Bloc and Western Bloc. The Eastern Palayams where the Nayaks ruled under the control of KATTABOMMAN. So the Eastern blocks so were under the control of KATTABOMMAN, and the Western Palayams were called as Maravas. The Eastern Palayams were called as Nayaks, were under the control of KATTABOMMAN, and the Western Palayams were called as Maravas. So Maravar. So in Tamil we say as Maravar. Yeah. They ruled under the control of PULI THEVAR. Yeah. So these two Palayakkarar, so East and West, that is Nayaks and Maravas, refused to pay the Kist. So Kisti means tribute. So Kisti, Vari Kisti. Yeah. So the two Palayams, the two Palayakkarars, the Eastern and Western Palayakkarars, refused to pay the Kist tribute to the English, and they revolted, and they rebelled. The early struggle between the Palayakkaras and the East Company had a strong political dimension. So dimension means an aspect or way. Yeah, so the early struggle between the Palayakkaras and the East India Company had a strong political dimension. So by the Carnatic Treaty of 1792, so by the Carnatic Treaty of 1792, so this treaty was signed between the English East India Company and the Nawab of ARCOT. So ARCOT, it was ruled by Nawab. So it was ruled by a king, so commonly referred as Nawab. So by the Carnatic Treaty of 1792, so it consolidated the English power over the Palayakkarar. So the Carnatic Treaty, which was signed in the year 1792, it consolidated. So consolidated means it gave the final power. So the English got the right to collect taxes. So the English, after signing the Carnatic Treaty of 1792, so got the right to collect taxes from the Palayakkarar. So the result was the outbreak of the revolt of Palayakkarars. So the result was the outbreak of the revolt of Palayakkarar. So Palayakkar system, it was introduced by Viswanathan Nayak. But after that it came under the Mughal dynasty. Then finally after the fall of Mughal dynasty, it came under the Nawab rule. So Nawab of Arcot. But Nawab, so after signing the Treaty of Carnatic. So the Carnatic Treaty in the 1792, he gave the right of collecting the taxes to the British. Yeah. So this result in the outbreak of the revolt of Palayakkarar. So first PULI. So PULI was the pioneer. So pioneer means, so he was the first, he was the forerunner. Yeah. So PULI was the pioneer in Tamil Nadu to protest against the English rule in India. So PULI was the first person, so first ruler to protest, to fought against the English rule in India. So he was the Palayakkarar of the Nerkattum Seval, a place near Tirunelveli. Yeah. So he was the Palayakkarar. Yeah. So PULI was the Palayakkarar of the Nerkattum Seval, so which is near Tirunelveli. Yeah. So during his tenure, so during his period, he refused to pay the tribute neither to Muhammad Ali. So Muhammad Ali, he was the Nawab of Arcot, nor to the English. Yeah, so during his tenure, PULI refused to pay the tribute, refused to pay the tax to Muhammad Ali, the Nawab of Arcot, and also to the English. Yeah, and also he began to oppose them. Yeah, so PULI, so he was the Palayakkarar of Nerkattum Seval near Tirunelveli. He refused to pay tribute to both Muhammad Ali, the Nawab of Arcot, and also to the English. And also he began to oppose them. Yeah. Hence the forces of the Nawab of Arcot and the English attacked PULI. Yeah. So the forces of Nawab of Arcot and the English attacked PULI. But the combined forces were defeated by PULI at Tirunelveli. Yeah, so but PULI defeated the English and the Nawab of Arcot at Tirunelveli. Yeah. So PULI was the first Indian king to have fought and defeated the British in India. Yeah. So before that, so the rulers of India were defeated by the British. Yeah. But for the first time, PULI defeated the English. Yeah. So PULI was the first Indian king to have fought and defeated the British in India. Yeah. After this victory, PULI attempted to form a league. So to form a alliance. Yeah, so after this victory, PULI attempted to form a alliance or league of the Palayakkarars to oppose the British and the Nawab. Yeah, so PULI, so he was the Palayakkarar of Nerkattum Seval. He refused to pay the tax to the company, British company, and also to the Nawab of Arcot, Muhammad Ali. Yeah, so and also he began to oppose both of them, Nawab of Arcot and also the British. Yeah. So the Nawab of Arcot, Muhammad Ali, and the British together attacked PULI in Tirunelveli, but both of them were defeated by PULI. So PULI was the first Indian king to defeat the British. Yeah. So after defeating them, so PULI tried to form a league of Palayakkarar to oppose the British and the Nawab. So in the year 1759, Nerkattum Seval was attacked by the forces of Nawab of Arcot under the leadership of Yusuf Khan. So in 1759, Nerkattum Seval, so the Palayam of PULI. In 1759, Nerkattum Seval was again attacked by the forces of Nawab of Arcot under the leadership of Yusuf Khan. So Yusuf Khan, so he was otherwise called as Khan Sahib and Mardanayagam. Yeah, so he was called as Khan Sahib or Mardanayagam. Yeah, so PULI was defeated at Andanallur and the Nawab forces captured Nerkattum Seval in 1761. So PULI was defeated at Andanallur and the Nawab forces captured Nerkattum Seval in 1761. So PULI who lived in exile. So exile means, so he hid himself and live as a roaming person. Yeah, so PULI who lived in exile recaptured Nerkattum Seval in the year 1764. Yeah, so PULI after his defeat at Andanallur, he lived in exile and he recaptured Nerkattum Seval in the year 1764. But later he was defeated by Captain Campbell in the year 1767. So he was defeated again by Captain Campbell in 1767. So PULI escaped and he died in exile without fulfilling his purpose, although his courageous trail of a struggle for independence in the history of South India. So PULI escaped from the battlefield in the year 1767, but he died in exile. So we don't know when he died and how he was died. So it was told that he was died in near forest region. Yeah, but his sacrifice, yes, it gave energy. It gave motivation for the struggle for independence in the history of South India. So PULI, so he was the first person, so first ruler to oppose the British rule in India. So he was the Palayakkarar of Nerkattum Seval. So initially he refused to pay tax, pay tribute to the Nawab of Arcot and also to the company. So both of them attacked PULI, but PULI defeated them. Yeah. So PULI, after defeating the British and the Nawab of Arcot, he tried to form an alliance among the Palayakkarar. Yeah. In the year 1759, Nerkattum Seval was attacked by the Nawab of Arcot under Yusuf Khan. In the year 1761, Nawab of Arcot army under Yusuf Khan captured Nerkattum Seval. Yeah. So PULI escaped from the battlefield and he lived in exile. Yeah. So Nerkattum Seval was again captured by PULI in the year 1764. Yeah. Later in the year 1767, Captain Campbell from the company defeated PULI. Yeah. So PULI escaped and he died in exile without fulfilling his purpose. But his courageous trail of struggle for independence gave energy to the South Indian people. So next, VIRAPANDYA KATTABOMMAN. So he was the Palayakkarar of Eastern Palayam. So Western Palayam, it was controlled by PULI. So Western Palayam ruled by Maravas. So the most important ruler was PULI. The Eastern Palayam where the Nayaks ruled under the control of KATTABOMMAN. Yeah. So the ancestors of KATTABOMMAN belonged to Andhra. So the ancestors of KATTABOMMAN belonged to Andhra. They moved to Tamil country during the 11th century. So the KATTABOMMAN's ancestors belonged to the state of Andhra. So they migrated. So migrated means moved. So they moved to Tamil country during the 11th century. As a feudatory under Pandyas, Jagavirapandya KATTABOMMAN ruled Veerapandyyapuram. So they were under the Pandya, so Chera Chola Pandya. So during 11th century, so the ancestors of KATTABOMMAN moved to Tamil Nadu. So they were under Pandyas. So Jagavirapandya KATTABOMMAN, he ruled Veerapandyyapuram. So the capital of Veerapandyyapuram was Panchalamkuruchi. So as an feudatory under the Pandyas, Jagavirapandya KATTABOMMAN ruled Veerapandyyapuram and Panchalamkuruchi was its capital. So he later became a polygar. He later became a Palayakkarar during the rule of Nayaks. So the ancestors of KATTABOMMAN belonged to Andhra and they came to Tamil Nadu during 11th century. So during 11th century, so Tamil Nadu was under the control of Cholas and Pandyas. So his ancestors, so they were a feudatory under the Pandyas. So Jagavirapandya KATTABOMMAN ruled Veerapandyyapuram and its capital was Panchalamkuruchi. So later, when it was occupied by the Vijayanagara Empire, the Nayak rulers introduced the polygar system. Already we have discussed it now. So the ruler Jagavirapandya KATTABOMMAN became a polygar during the rule of Nayaks. So he was succeeded by his son Veerapandya KATTABOMMAN. So Jagavirapandya KATTABOMMAN was succeeded by his son Veerapandya KATTABOMMAN. His wife name was Jakkammal and his brothers were Oomathurai and Savataya. So Veerapandya KATTABOMMAN, his wife name was Jakkammal and his brothers were Oomathurai and Savataya. Nawab of Arcot. So after the decline of Vijayanagara Empire, the Mughals established their supremacy, established their power in the south. So after the decline of the Vijayanagara Empire, the Mughals established their supremacy in the south. The Nawabs acted as their representatives in the Karnataka. So the Nawabs acted as their representatives in Karnataka. So after the decline of Vijayanagara Empire, the Mughals established their supremacy in the south. The Nawab, so they acted as their representatives in Karnataka. Panchalamkuruchi Palayam was acted as an ally to the Nawab of Arcot. So Panchalamkuruchi, now it was under the control of Nawab of Arcot. So hence Panchalamkuruchi Palayam had to pay a tribute to the Nawabs. So after the decline of Vijayanagara Empire, the Mughals established their supremacy in the south. The Nawabs in the south acted as their representatives in Karnataka. Panchalamkuruchi Palayam was acted as an ally to the Nawab. So ally means a partner. So the Panchalamkuruchi was under the Nawab of Arcot. So hence it paid tribute to the Nawabs. But in 1792, the political condition had completely changed. So what was the change? The Carnatic Treaty. So based on the Carnatic Treaty of 1792, the company gained the right to collect taxes from the Panchalamkuruchi. So after the decline of Vijayanagara Empire, the Mughals established their supremacy in south. The Nawab acted as the representatives of Mughals in Karnataka. Panchalamkuruchi was under the Nawab of Arcot kingdom. So the Panchalamkuruchi Palayam had to pay taxes, had to pay tribute to the Nawabs. But in 1792, as per the Carnatic Treaty, the collection of right to tax. So the right of collecting tax was given to the company. So the collection of tribute was the main cause for the rivalry between the English and Kattabomman. So 1782 Carnatic Treaty. So the British got the right to collect the tribute tax from the Palayams. So the rivalry between the English and Kattabomman is because of the collection of tribute. Kattabomman met Jackson. So he was the collector of Ramanathapuram. So Panchalamkuruchi was now under the Ramanathapuram district, was now in Ramanathapuram district. In 1798, Colin Jackson, the collector of Ramanathapuram, wrote letters to Kattabomman asking him to pay the tribute arrears. So arrears, he had to pay some amount. So he have some arrears. So he have some balance to pay. So in 1788, Colin Jackson, the collector of Ramanathapuram, wrote letters to Kattabomman asking him to pay the tribute arrears. But Kattabomman replied that he was not in a position to remit the tribute due to the famine in the country. So the collector of Ramanathapuram, Colin Jackson, in the year 1798, asked Kattabomman to pay the tribute arrears. But Kattabomman replied that he could not pay the tribute. So he could not pay the tribute because of the famine in the country. So famine means dry condition. So because of the failure of rainfall, so crop cultivation is poor. So he replied that he could not remit the tribute. So Colin Jackson got angry and he decided to send an expedition to punish Kattabomman. But Colin Jackson, he got angry. So he sent a military force to punish Kattabomman. However, the Madras government directed the collector to summon the Palayakkarar at Ramanathapuram and hold a discussion. So Colin Jackson decided to send an expedition, but he was not given permission by the Madras government. The Madras government directed the collector to arrange a meeting with the Palayakkarar Kattabomman at Ramanathapuram and hold a discussion. In 1798, Kattabomman and his minister Sivasubramaniam met the collector at Ramanathapuram. In 1798, Colin Jackson, the collector of Ramanathapuram, asked Kattabomman to pay the tribute arrears, but Kattabomman could not pay the tribute because of the famine in the country. So Colin Jackson got angry and he decided to send an expedition, but the Madras government did not give permission and asked the collector to hold a discussion. So in 1798, Kattabomman and his minister Sivasubramaniam met the collector at Ramanathapuram. Upon a verification of accounts, Colin Jackson was convinced that Kattabomman had cleared most of the arrears, leaving only 1080 bagodas. So bagodas, the name of the currency. So upon verifying the account, Colin Jackson, so he finalized that Kattabomman had paid most of the arrears, so most of the tribute, leaving only 1080 bagodas. So during this interview, Kattabomman and his minister Sivasubramaniam had to stand before the arrogant collector for 3 hours. So during this interview, Kattabomman and his minister had to stand before the arrogant. So arrogant means behaving in an unpleasant way, that is showing little respect to other people. So during this interview, Kattabomman and Sivasubramaniam had to stand before the arrogant collector for 3 hours. Then the collector insulted them and tried to arrest Kattabomman and his minister. So the collector did not give respect. So he treated illegally. So he treated Kattabomman and Sivasubramaniam. So the collector insulted them and tried to arrest Kattabomman and his minister. Kattabomman tried to escape with his minister. So Kattabomman tried to escape with his minister. But Omathurai, who was the brother of Virapandya Kattabomman, suddenly entered the fort with his men and helped the escape of Kattabomman. But unfortunately, Sivasubramaniam was taken as a prisoner. In 1788, Kattabomman and his minister Sivasubramaniam met the collector Colin Jackson at Ramanathapuram. So upon verification, the collector finalized that Kattabomman had paid most of the tribute, leaving only 1080 bagodas. But the collector insulted them, so by allowing them to stand nearly for 3 hours. And the collector tried to arrest Kattabomman. So Kattabomman escaped with the help of his brother Omathurai. But Sivasubramaniam, his minister, was taken as a prisoner. Edward Clive and Kattabomman. So after his return to Panchalamkuruchi, Kattabomman escaped from Ramanathapuram. So after his return to Panchalamkuruchi, Kattabomman wrote a letter to the Madras Council explaining the behavior of the collector Colin Jackson. So after his return to Panchalamkuruchi, Kattabomman wrote a letter to Madras Council briefly explaining the behavior of the collector Jackson. So Edward Clive, the governor of Madras Council, ordered Kattabomman to surrender. Edward Clive, who was the governor of Madras Council, ordered the Kattabomman to surrender. The Madras Council directed Kattabomman to appear before a committee. So Kattabomman went to Madras Council. So the Madras Council directed Kattabomman to appear before a committee. Meanwhile, Edward Clive dismissed the collector for his misbehavior and released Sivasubramania. So meanwhile, Edward Clive, so he understand about the situation. So he dismissed collector, so Colin Jackson, from his service, and he released Sivasubramania. So Kattabomman appeared before the committee, and the committee found that Kattabomman was not guilty. So guilty means he did not did any mistake. So after his return to Panchalamkuruchi, Kattabomman wrote a letter to Madras Council explaining his situation and the arrogant behavior of Colin Jackson. So the Madras Council, so the governor of Madras Council, Edward Clive, asked Kattabomman to surrender. So Kattabomman went to Madras and he appeared before a committee, so set up by the council. So the committee found that Kattabomman was not guilty. So in the meantime, Edward Clive dismissed Colin Jackson from the service and he released the minister of Veerapandyya Kattabomman, Sivasubramaniam. So S.R. Lushington was now appointed as the collector of Ramanathapuram, and Colin Jackson already, he was dismissed from the service. So the Confederacy of the Palayakkarar. So Confederacy means union of state or group of people with some aim. So Confederacy means union of people with some aim. So during the time, Marudhupandiyan of Sivagangai formed the South Indian Confederacy of rebels against the British. So during the time means, so Veerapandyya Kattabomman issues over the English company. So during the time, Marudhupandiyan of Sivaganga formed the South Indian Confederacy of rebels against the British along with the neighboring Palayakkarar. So this confederacy declared a proclamation. So proclamation, an official statement about something important that is made to public. So proclamation means an official statement about something important that is made to the public. So this confederacy, so the confederacy formed by the Marudhupandiyan of Sivagangai, so declared a proclamation which came to be known as Tiruchirappalli Proclamation. Which came to be known as Tiruchirappalli Proclamation. Kattabomman was interested in this confederacy. So Kattabomman was interested in this South Indian Confederacy. So he tried to establish his power, influence over Sivagiri, but they refused to join with the alliance of the rebels. So Kattabomman tried to establish his influence over Sivagiri. But the Sivagiri Palayam refused to join with the alliance of rebels. So Kattabomman advanced towards Sivagiri, but the Palayakkarar of Sivagiri was a tributary to the company. So during that time, Marudhupandiyan of Sivagangai formed the South Indian Confederacy of rebels against the British along with the neighboring Palayakkarar. So this confederacy declared a proclamation called as Tiruchirappalli Proclamation. Kattabomman was interested in this confederacy. So he tried to establish his influence over Sivagiri, which is near Tirunelveli. But Sivagiri refused to join with the rebels because Sivagiri, so they were the tributary of the company. So Kattabomman advanced towards Sivagiri. So the company considered the expedition of Kattabomman as a challenge to their authority, so challenge to their power. So the company ordered the army to march to Panchalamkuruchi. So the company considered the expedition of Kattabomman as a challenge to their authority. So the company ordered the army to march towards Panchalamkuruchi. So fall of Panchalamkuruchi. Major Bannerman, so who was controlling the English army, moved his army to Panchalamkuruchi on 5th September. So Major Bannerman moved his army to Panchalamkuruchi on 5th September. They cut off all the communications to the fort. In a clash at Kallarpatti, Sivasubramaniam was taken as a prisoner. So Major Bannerman moved his army towards Panchalamkuruchi on 5th September and they cut off all the communications to the fort. In a clash at Kallarpatti, Sivasubramaniam was taken as a prisoner. So Kattabomman escaped to Pudukottai. So Kattabomman was defeated at the Battle of Kallarpatti, but he escaped from the battlefield and he moved to Pudukottai. Vijay Ranganatha Tondaiman, so the Raja of Pudukottai, captured Kattabomman from the jungles of Kalapur. So jungles the deep forest. So Vijay Ranganatha Tondaiman, the Raja of Pudukkottai, captured Kattabomman from the jungles of Kalapur and handed over to the company. So after the fall of Panchalamkuruchi, Bannerman brought the prisoners to an assembly of the Palayakkarar, and after trial, so trial means sufficient inquiry. So after a trial, he sentenced the Palayakkarar to death. So Sivasubramaniam, so he was executed. So he was hanged at Nagalapuram. He was a major bannerman, moved his army to Panchalamkuruchi on 5th September. So they cut off all the communications to the fort. In a class at Kalarpatti, Sivasubramaniam was taken as a prisoner and Kattabomman escaped to Pudukkottai. But he was captured by the Raja of Pudukkottai, Vijay Ranganatha Tondaiman, and he was handed over to the company. After the fall of Panchalamkuruchi, Bannerman brought the prisoners to an assembly of the Palayakkarar, and after the trial, he sentenced them to death. Sivasubramaniam was executed at Nagalapuram. So then what happened to Veerapandyya Kattabomman? On 16th October, Veerapandyya Kattabomman was tried before an assembly of Palayakkarar summoned at Kayathar. So summoned means arranged a meeting. On 16th October, Veerapandyya Kattabomman was tried before an assembly of Palayakkarar summoned at Kayathar. But Veerapandyya Kattabomman so bravely faced all the trials. So all the trials imposed on him. So on 17th October 1799, Kattabomman was hanged at Kayathar. On 17th October 1799, Kattabomman was hanged at Kayathar. But Kattabomman's heroic deeds were the subject of many folk ballads which kept his memory alive among the people. So Kattabomman's heroic fight. So it gave many folk ballads. So ballads means a song or poem that tells a story. So many folk songs, so many folk poems, so which helped the people to keep his memory alive. So thus Veerapandyya Kattabomman was hanged to death. So his revolt came to an end. So today's class we discussed about the meaning of Palayam, and we discussed about the two great Palayakkarar. So one is PULI THEVAR and another one is Veerapandyya Kattabomman. So PULI THEVAR, so he ruled Tirunelveli, the Nerkattum Seval. So he was a Palayakkar of Nerkattum Seval. So he first defeated the English. So he was the first ruler to defeat the English army. At Nerkattum Seval. But later he was defeated by Yusuf Khan and finally by Colin Campbell. We don't know so when and where he died. Then we discussed about Veerapandyya Kattabomman. So Veerapandyya Kattabomman, initially he didn't oppose the company. But the problem, the confrontation, the problem started when he was unable to pay the tax, and the English collector, arrogant collector Colin Jackson, insulted him. So later he wished to join the Confederacy of South Indian Rebellion formed by Maruthapandiyan. So Veerapandyya Kattabomman wanted to establish his influence over the Sivagiri Palayam, but the Sivagiri Palayam refused. So Kattabomman invaded, so sent his army to invade Sivagiri. But Sivagiri was the tributary of company. So the company thought that the expedition of Kattabomman as the challenge to their authority. So Major Bannerman attacked the forces of Panchalamkuruchi. So the forces of Kattabomman at Kallarpatti and defeated them. So Kattabomman escaped to Pudukkottai, but his minister Sivasubramaniam was taken as a prisoner. But he was captured by the Raja of Pudukkottai, Vijay Ranganatha Tondaiman, at Kalapur forest, and he was handed over to the company. So the company, after the enquiry, so hanged him at Kayathar, hanged him in a tamarind tree in Kayathar on 17th October 1799. But his heroic fight, so attracted, so his heroic fight, so was a role model, for the next Palayakkaras, for the next upcoming Palayakkaras. Okay, students. So today we have completed these two topics. So if you have any doubt, so please contact me. So take your book. So take page number 37. So textbook reading. So read the heading Veerapandyya Kattabomman, then the Nawab of ARCOT, and Kattabomman met Jackson. So this is the textbook work, textbook reading. Then homework. So take your books, take page number 46. So 7th round matter, answer the following in detail. First question, what do you know about the PULI THEVAR? So take page number 36. PULI THEVAR. PULI THEVAR was the pioneer in Tamil Nadu to protest against the English rule in India. He was the Palayakkarar of the Nerkattum Seval near Tirunelveli. During his tenure, he refused to pay the tribute neither to Muhammad Ali, the Nawab of ARCOT, nor to the English. So hence, the forces of the Nawab of ARCOT and the English attacked PULI THEVAR, but the combined forces were defeated by PULI THEVAR at Tirunelveli. Then leave the next point. Then come to, after this victory, PULI THEVAR attempted to form a league of the Palayakkarar to oppose the British and the Nawab. The next paragraph. In 1759, Nerkattum Seval was attacked by the forces of Nawab of ARCOT under the leadership of Yusuf Khan. PULI THEVAR was defeated at Andanallur and the Nawab forces captured Nerkattum Seval in 1761. PULI THEVAR recaptured Nerkattum Seval in 1764. So strike out the word who lived in exile. Later he was defeated by Captain Campbell in 1767. PULI THEVAR escaped and died in exile without fulfilling his purpose, although his courageous tale of a struggle for independence in the history of South India. So this is the answer for first detail. So write it in your homework note and read it well. So thank you, students.